that if the people that are eating that, health bar, they don't realize that it's bad for them. Absolutely. And the other way I like to put it, Congress, is that what if you had to convince someone to walk a mile a day to save your life? What if you had to convince someone to walk 1 mile a day, every day, to save your life? Because that's really what we are in right now. Essentially, we are all citizens of this country. I mean, we are all, not essentially. We are all citizens of this country. If we keep doing what we are doing, if we keep allowing some people to hurt others, then we will all end up perishing. We won't have what we love so much. But if we can actually get others to see each other as human, and you know how we do it, Ray, is we get off of these damn phones and we see each other face to face. Because I can tell you, when you're at a concert and you're jamming, or when you're at a bar and you're having some fun, you're not thinking whether the person giving you your drink is a Democrat or a Republican. When you're at the ball game and somebody hits a home run and you go next to them and you high five the person next to you, you're not thinking whether they're a Democrat or Republican. We're all freaking humans. The only reason that you feel that way is because the media has purposefully separated us so much so that the thing we lose the most is hope, y'all. That's why I'm here. I see that we're going to win, but I understand that hope is the first ingredient needed. Hope. Because when you recognize that they've taken over the economic process, when you recognize that they have taken over the media, when you've recognized they've taken over the politics, what happens? You go, shit, well, there's nothing we can do. That's because we are used to looking at this like coming up with a wrecking ball. It's like the system is a wall. And we're like, oh, we got to knock it down. So we come in with a wrecking ball. Well, I'm here to say that's not what works. Because we can't just stand up once, have a 1 week blackout, and think that we're going to knock down this wall. That's what it's designed to fix against, to stand up against. You know what will take it down? I know you know, Congress. Is all of us walking up to that wall every single day with our own individual chisels and just saying, I don't like this brick. This brick doesn't work for us or my community. And most importantly, you have to replace it. Because if you just scream, this brick isn't working, this brick isn't working, then people will be like, yeah, but it's better than no brick. Yeah, but what are you going to replace it with? But if you, as you're taking out that brick, have a nice pile of shiny new bricks, if you figure out new services that work, that is what is going to drive people to actually change. We have to make the alternatives better than the status quo. This is the same thing with striking and pushing back. We don't need a general strike. Let's flex our muscle with one company. All we need to do is find one company, and we need to make it so that for those people who work at that company, we need to make staying home better than going to work. So how can we come together and do that? That's what we should be thinking about. How can we make staying home better than going to work? Let's just do one company and say, hey, we like you a lot. We know that you're just going to work. We know that you're just trying to make a living, but we think the work that your company is doing is actually harming all of us. So what's it going to take? What's it going to take for you to stay home for the next 2 weeks? What's it going to take for you to stay home for a month? That's what we should be thinking in, because then can't you picture it? Can't you picture it then? Okay, well, they would need 4 weeks of food. They would need a way to make their house payments, to keep the lights on. Okay, let's all come together, because we do that shit. When there's a hurricane, when there's a flood, we come together. We say, all right, I got the generator. Who's got the food? All right, I got the food. Who's got the blankets? All right, you got the blankets. I got this. That's what a community does. But right now, we only come together in time of need. Well, this is what we're all figuring out, right? That we're in a time of need, that we need to come together. It's just right now, we don't have that space. We don't have that place. I think that's the kind of thing that we're building up towards. Is that we're going to keep having these blackouts. We're going to keep meeting together. Eventually, we're going to have groups in every single state And eventually those groups in every single state, we're going to start meeting. We're going to have our own swap meets. We're going to be holding our own chamber of commerce, our own town halls. So, Julie, I love what you were saying. Here is my favorite thing. I don't even know what you're talking about, Apple, because we're not asking anybody. But that would be the thing, right? So here's what you're thinking of. You're thinking from a place of fear. Because I guarantee you, as a business owner, I can tell you the most difficult thing is if every one of my employees walked out at the same time. So who's in charge then? So that's where it's, remember, we have talked to them about what they needed, and it's not like they would be going back, right? So that's the thing. If this company that is hurting all of us, if we want to get rid of them, they wouldn't be going back to work. So part of what we would come together as a community and what they would say is, oh, I need another job. Well, guess what? We'd help these people find another job. We got to stop being so afraid of the boss. This is literally what got us in this position. Because what they told us, what you are echoing, is that we need them. That's what you're saying, is that they have more power than us. And without the job creators, we'd have nothing. Well, let me tell you something. They need us more than we need them. Because let's think about it. What does each side bring to the table? Well, those owners, they bring one mother effing thing: money, capital. That's it. It used to be back in peasant times, in feudal times, before the internet, we couldn't find capital like that. We couldn't come together and say, oh, you've got $5, you got $5. Oh, all 10,000 of us have $5. We've got enough money now, just as much as the owner. So we can buy this thing. We can go start our own and do it ourselves. Because this is what happens. The owner only brings money to the table. Well, we can find a replacement for that. But here's the thing. When that owner wants to go deliver 10,000 packages in a day, when that owner wants to go build 100 houses in a week, they have to go and hire other people. So technically, they need us more than we need them. So, but that would be the thing, Apple user. What I said was we would go to the company, the employees of the company, and we would say, what do you need to make not going to work better than going to work? So the first thing you would say, right, is, I'm afraid of not feeding my kids. Jobs are hard to find. Well, what if we all came together and said, here are 15 other jobs in your area that you could go work at instead? Because that's what I always think of when I hear the call reps for American Express or whatever giant company is screwing you over this week. I'm like, dang, I understand that they're probably working there because that was the only job that they could find. But wouldn't it be cool if we could help every single one of those call reps in XYZ mega company to go find other jobs, so that XYZ mega company just made it a little bit more difficult to do business, a little bit tougher. So you wouldn't be harming the employees. What you're going after is pushing back against the greedy bosses, because that's what builds this solidarity. That's where we are building this teamwork. And obviously we would come up to that, because right now what we're doing is we're wearing black every single Friday. It's this small pushback, because I keep people hearing saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, the first thing we need to do is create a we. Because right now we are so divided that there's nothing we can do, because I want to do this, and then you want to do this, and this other person wants to do that, and this other person says, you all are wrong. We should start with this first. So what we need to do is get on the same page. And we do that by speaking the truth, by understanding that people don't know when the lies have worked on them. You don't know when you're being lied to, right? I mean, you do, but if you don't know you're being lied to, it's hard to spot. So if you don't know you're being lied to, then how can you know that they're lying to you, right? So why are we going up to people and getting mad at them for getting tricked? That's all this is. And we have to come together. We have to talk to keep people. That's really the main point of this. We have to speak to other human beings. I know it is difficult. I know it is hard. It was hard for me when I first started this. Well, that's where break the silence, break the fear. That's exactly what it is. It's break the silence, break the fear. Because what we are doing is we are inciting a culture shift. We aren't just hoping that the administration changes. We're not introducing a piece of effing legislation. What we are doing is changing America from the inside out. Every single one of us recognizing that greed is the main problem, reorganizing our life around that ideal, and recruiting others in. We call it localism. That's all this is, localism. And it starts a little bit smaller. It starts with making those decisions, each of us. Not some of us giving it our all, but all of us giving it some. I'm not asking for you to cancel all 10 of your subscriptions, but maybe get rid of 7 or 8. We're not asking you to never shop at the big box stores, but only when you absolutely have to. And then we need you to recruit others. How do you recruit others? Putting truth in public, posting the posters that we have on your socials, reposting videos. Shit, we put out calls of, hey, we need everybody reading this script. Send us in the video and we'll make it pop. It's about showing others that this is happening, that this is working, and the train is already moving. Because it is. There you go, Bama. I got some on my card too. Because it is. When I look at the map of the stickers that we have sent across this entire country, I go, holy shit, we are everywhere. I wish that every single person could see this. So if you're in Dallas, you got 120 other people. If you're then a little bit north in Tulsa, you got 80 other people around you. If you're way up there in Portland, you've got like 600 people who all feel this. I know it's one of my favorite things here too. We've had it for years and years and years. But that's what this is. The opposite greed of community. What do you call somebody who loves community? We're a localist. We're coming up with new freaking names for shit because shared language equals shared power. Because people are going to say, oh, you're socialism. Oh, you like capitalism. Oh, there's this and that. All parts are good. I freaking love the free market. But we also have to put guardrails against human nature. That's all that this is. This is what we are teaching people. Guardrails against human nature are not bad things. We don't just let people speed, right? You can't just go as fast as you want to get that dopamine rush. We don't let people just fight, right? Even if both people want to, we don't say, oh, you can push. We have limits against human nature. That's all this is. That's all this is. And it has to start at the local level, right, Texas? Because nobody else cares about us otherwise. That's why these giant corporations suck so bad. Because nobody there cares. Because there's layers and layers and layers of insulation between the person whose effort and enthusiasm actually makes more money and somebody that says, whatever I do don't matter because I haven't been empowered to actually do anything to care about this company. So if I don't care about this company, I'm not going to provide good customer service. If I don't care about this company, I'm not going to source the best products. I'm going to do the absolute bare minimum to not get fired. So wouldn't it be so nice if rather than walking into a Home Depot, walking into a Walmart and having your eyes rolled at you, you could go down the street to Dave's Hardware and you would be able to know their kid and say, hey, Dave, how's Junior doing today? And they would actually care. And somebody would come up to you and say, hey, what can I help you with? And it wouldn't be fake because they're like, oh, shit, there's only 3 employees at this company. So the way that we treat people matters. So we're going to make sure to treat people the best that we can. This is why localism is so important, because the more layers of insulation that the boss's boss has, the less human the people at the bottom become. We all know this because I look at billionaires, and the absolute only way that I could have people making me money day in and day out and then not pay them enough for freaking food? Not pay them enough to be able to like buy a house? Like, it's like, even if that person is only making you a couple dollars an hour in profit, like, they should be able to have enough to live, because food and housing and healthcare is a human right. Because everyone that is born is a product of this society. And if we are not cared for by others, then we do not live. So it is so funny that the baby who is born into the zip code that they did not choose, zip code is the largest determinant of whether you will be a success or a failure in America. That's what it comes down to. Zip code is the largest determinant of whether you will be successful or not in America. And those babies that are born, they don't decide what zip code they're born in. They don't decide what parents they're born to. They don't decide what school they go to. Because let's think about this. If we got an 18, 19, 20-year-old that doesn't have the skills that they need, well, shouldn't the schools that they went to have provided those skills? So whose fault is it? The 18, 19, or 20-year-old for going to school, for going to a bad school? Or is it the rest of society for not providing that person with enough of a launching pad for them to have the skills that they need? Because here's the thing, when employers are looking for employees, the employees that they're looking for are ones that have skills that were cultivated in our schools. The employees that they're looking for are ones that have health, that are healthy because of our healthcare system. So yes, it is absolutely a requirement of every single job to pay a living wage, to pay enough money for food, for housing, and for healthcare. Because number one, that is the social contract. That is the bare minimum. If I am spending my time and money to make, or my time and energy to make you money, then what I require is enough to live, is enough for food, is enough for housing, is enough for healthcare. And honestly, if you only get paid that much, if you are barely scraping by, it is no different than slavery. Because that's what it used to be. The slaves would do the work and the owners would pay for the housing, the healthcare, and the food. But the slaves didn't get anything over and above that. Look at today. We go to work and we have enough money for food, housing, and sometimes healthcare. We don't have money over and above that. That's 80% of Americans who don't have money over and above that. That's 208 million people who don't have enough money for a car issue, for a medical problem. That's why medical debt is the #1 reason for bankruptcy in this country. And then the second biggest lie that they've told us is that when people don't have money, when people don't have security, that it's their fault. Because if you are working 40 hours a week for a successful company, you should be successful too. Like 40 grand in the bank. That's with children as well too, broski. The amount of adults in America is 263 million. I can guarantee it. Go look it up. 1% of that would be 2.63 million. That's the 1%. We rounded up to 3 million. There's 3 million people in the 1%. There's 234 million people in the bottom 90%. So that's what it's about. I know the freaking numbers. I'm on here every single day. It's when I started learning these numbers that was my spark to speak out. Because you know how I know the exact amount of adults in America? My name is Corey. It's nice to meet you. You know how I know the exact number of adults in America? Because I realized, I saw a stat that said the 1%, actually when I started this 6 months ago, it was the 1% has as much money as 85% of us. And in that time, now the 1% have as much money as 90% of us. So the 1%, just 2.63 million people, have $50 trillion. And then 234 million people. We also have $50 trillion. So in other words, it is $1 for me, $1 for me, $1 for 90 of you to split. $1 for me, $1 for 90 of you to split. Seriously, that's how we get that way. That's the only way we get that way. And that's where, Omar, I love that because that's where we're at, right? I remember being 18 and going, fuck this. I don't want to work for the rest of my life. I'm making somebody else money. Okay, I'll do that if I can have a house, if I can have a vacation, if I can have 3 cars, if things are all right, if they provide me with prosperity, then yeah, I'll trade my time and money, or I'll trade my time and energy for money. But the bullshit part is that I had the security. I had the backing of a family that was able to, that I knew I wasn't going homeless. So I was able to start a business. So the only people that are able to escape the bullshit system that we in are people who already have the advantages. What the fuck? Because that's what's so frustrating is I know the advantages that I had are because I was raised with security. I was able to live up to my fullest potential. And that's why I say all the time, if we create a society where the point of it is to get people to live up to their fullest potential, they will always excel at what they do. Think of how many Albert Einsteins have died in the fields. Not because they weren't intelligent, because of our, what's up, Grandma Barbs? Because of our stupid ass system saying the only value you have is if you make money. The only value you have is if you make money. No. What we should do is allow people to live up to their fullest potential, because then they will unlock their true value. And who knows, maybe we'd have perpetual energy by now. Maybe we'd all be flying in rocket and space cars. But the people who were going to invent those things were born in the wrong zip code. So they never went to the right schools to grow their potential. They didn't have the right conditions because they were told that the point of their life was to make money. Yes, we should be working 40 hours a week. And if we are, we should be making 92 grand a year. And if you don't want to work 40 hours a week, you want to keep your same salary, do you know how many hours you should be working? 12. 12 hours a week covers your salary. Anything that you work over 12 hours a week, that goes into your boss's pocket. So what, 28 hours a week? So I'm sure 14 of those hours goes to overhead. And I bet you the other 14 of those hours goes right to the boss. Because that's what this is. The boss is deciding to be greedy, taking more than their fair share. Because they know that they can underpay their workers and that their workers will go on public assistance and we will all pay for it. And they know that there is nothing we are going to do about it because they use their media companies to control the narrative to push down our throats that it's the workers' fault. So that's all that it is. Greedy bosses taking more than their fair share because they know that they don't have to pay their employees enough. Because when their employees who they're working 40 hours a week for, helping make billions of profits, when they go on public assistance, they know that we will pay for it and be happy about it. Because what they'll do is they'll just pump up the money in their media company, change the words, change the narrative, spread it. And what we need to realize, y'all, so I'm done with the problem. We're going to talk about the solution. What we need to realize is basically the machine. It's not that they think we're stupid and lazy. They made us stupid by taking away our education. And then they like beat us into submission is what it is. And it's not that they think that we're stupid and lazy. I can tell you exactly what it is, because as a business owner, I feel such a connection with my employees because I understand that I could not run my business unless I wanted to be there physically for 40, 50, 60 hours a week. I could not run it without having somebody else. So as soon as that somebody else comes in, I effing love them. I'm like, yes. How can I empower this person so they feel like they're part of the team? So they're on all on the same side, so that we're all pushing towards the same goal. Because I want it that if they do good, for the company, that if we do good, that they do good. And so immediately you understand that you could not have built this thing without other people, without a community. And what happened is so many of the ultra rich were rich because of their parents or because they got some huge advantage. You know why it's so hard for so many of my friends to see this? Because we've got 10, 20 of us all in the same friend group. But when we look around, we're all each other's peers. So we say like, oh, well, yeah, you got the same advantages or you fought through that. So it's like we're not looking outside of our little bubble, right? But when we see, oh my God, we were all college educated, we all had security. So it's hard for us to look around and see the disparity. That's exactly what happens, is that the ultra rich were either born into advantages. They look around and go, well, look, my friend's parents also knew somebody who ran a university. My friend's parents' dad also had a business. I'm not any different than them. They're just talking about it. So that's what it comes down to, is the people up top don't understand community. That's really what it is. Because I, as a business owner, effing love my employees, because if not, I couldn't be here right now. I'd have to be at the office running the whole business. And that's fine. But like, if you do want to grow and expand beyond what only you can do, this is how I know all this. Because when I wanted to open up the second office, it was like, oh shoot, I have to go hire somebody else. And do you know how scary it is to hire somebody who already had a full-time job? It's like, well, you are gotta make sure that you are taking care of them, that you're providing everything they are, and that it's all gonna work out. Because it's a community. Because the only reason they are coming to work for me is because they hope to better their life. But that's the problem, Omar, is I think people don't understand. We over celebrate the entrepreneur, and it's what everyone needs to understand is that the community in every single circumstance supports the business up until the business can support the community, right? So that's what it is. No matter who the billionaire is, no matter who the owner is, when they started out, they used the community's economy. They used the community's roads. They used the community's healthcare system. When they went and hired their first employee, those employees didn't show up as blank slates. Those employees were educated by the community schools, drove on the community's roads, and generally use the public good to reach their fullest potential. So then the billionaire needs to pay back into that public good. And the best way that you can pay into the public good is by paying your employees a living wage, enough money for food and housing, a prosperous wage. Because when we have 80% of Americans barely scraping by, you know what barely scraping by is? Oh, paycheck to paycheck. It's financial ruin is what it is. It's fear of financial ruin. What happens when we have 208 million people living in fear of financial ruin? Well, they're scared. They're easy to divide. So, Omar, how do we take it back? Because that's where this is, we are blacking out the system to take it back. And what we have to do is we have to put the truth out there again. That's the number one thing. They have forgotten. We have to put the truth out there. Greed is the disease. Everything, actually, let me back up. We have to incite a culture shift. So the whole goal of this movement is to incite a culture shift. Jimmy, look what happened afterwards. That shit does not work. It has to be done with love, with integrity, and we have to know where we are going. So we need to incite a culture shift. How do we incite a culture shift? Well, we are building a civic force to incite a culture shift. What's the civic force? It is 1,000 movements that all know this is the moment. It is 1 million individuals all coming together and saying enough. and saying that we need to build a community. Oh, I got the shame coming up next. Saying we need to build a community because community is the opposite of greed. Absolutely, Sarah. We're not just talking about what is wrong. We are building what is right. If we only say this house is broken, if we only say the foundation is crumbling, people will never just run outside. We have to build the new building. It's like this. If greed is the disease, if greed is the problem in America, then what fuels their greed? Our hard work. So stop the hard work, stop fueling their greed. But how do we stop the hard work? It needs to be stopped for a long time. It needs to be sustained. So how do we make it sustained? We come together and build the systems that we need to sustain pushback. But how do we do that when we're so divided? Well, we have mini pushbacks that we practice. We call them blackout the system. We all come together and we understand the purpose of blackout the system is to build a community large enough and organized enough to rival the rigged system. That, yeah, we love the economic pushback, but the real goal is to get people to recognize that greed is the problem, to reorganize their life around that idea, and to recruit others into it. Because it's the only way that we can make a difference is by making the we first. Because right now there is none. So Jimmy, this is what we are doing. We are building the economic systems that we need. So we are all coming together. We will be here each week doing the lives, and we will have workshops on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. Those workshops, as we grow and build, we will have state captains. We will have state leaders in every single corner of the country. We already do. And eventually those workshops that we will be holding online, those trade groups that we will be holding online, those freaking Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Forum, the Town Hall, it's going to be all of it. We will move that into real life because it's talking, it's seeing each other, it's being around each other. And those meetings, they will be swap meets. They will be farmers markets. They will be a time for joy and community. They will be a town hall. They will be a Chamber of Commerce. They will be a networking events because this is what life is about. God damn, it makes me so mad. Because other people is what this is about. Sarah, yes, that is what we are building. And we aren't waiting for someone to save us. We are doing it ourselves. Jimmy, when you come from a place of love, any saboteurs, I appreciate the opportunity to use that word, any saboteurs will not matter. Because it comes from inside all of us, y'all. It's not any one of us. It's not one system. We're not even saying anything besides, like, let's care about our community again. Let's be localists. That's what we're saying, Sarah, by the way, localists. We're localists. So here's the shame. So there we go. We are creating a civic force to incite a culture shift. How do you incite a culture shift? You change the messaging. You change the narrative. You bring back the truth. The second step, you stack the damn receipts. This shit doesn't run on vibes. We show what we are doing. The Montgomery bus boycott only succeeded because they took so many freaking pictures. Because they said, look, if we just do this in Montgomery, nobody's going to hear about it. We need to spread the word across the nation. So that's what we have to do. Take pictures, spread it, send it into us. Because the way we're going to change the messaging is through shared language. They're not the billionaires, they're the hoarders. Because they take more than they need from people who don't have enough. Imagine robbing the homeless person. That's what they are doing, essentially. They take more than they need from those of us that don't have enough. They are not the billionaires, they are the hoarders. It's not left versus right. It is up versus down. Because greed is the problem in America, and everything else is just a symptom. So that's the first step. We are spreading those phrases. We are spreading the word, and they are not the elites. They are not the billionaires. They're the hoarders. So there's your shame, whoever gave that to me earlier. I say it like this, Sarah. Both parties are two sides of the same coin, and that coin is in a billionaire's pocket. It's like good cop, bad cop. Everybody chooses who they think is good cop, bad cop, but both of those assholes work for the same corrupt department, and we're finally putting an end to it. So we went over the problem. We're talking about the solution. We said the first step is shared language, changing the narrative, reframing the truth, because for so long they have had a stranglehold on the truth. And that's the only way that we can get to the point where we all don't even agree on facts, right? That's what blows my mind. We're all educated by the same school systems in this country. Yet we grow up, and because we are so isolated, we literally can't agree on facts. Oh, I love the neighborhood dumpster, Samantha. So this is the kind of stuff that we've got to come up with, y'all, where this is what I'm thinking of now is what's the easiest we can do to show people. Because we're working with groups like Farm Fresh and things like that, and they're building the food security. We're working with, realtors and people that, understand the housing. But what I want to see is the easiest thing that we can offer. And damn, that community dumpster where we clean up the trash, or community internet. I even saw one where it was a community power source. Y'all, do you know how many of our public utilities is for profit? Like our utilities, your electricity and your water is for profit, more than likely. My God, how backwards do we need to be? When is the economy actually going to work for the people that make the economy run? Because here's the thing, we've had a housing crisis for like 10 or 15 years. If the economy actually was smart, isn't that what we hear? Oh, the economy pivots to what the people need. Oh, that's what's so great about the system. Then why haven't we had housing in like 2 decades that was affordable? Because it doesn't help the people in charge. It doesn't help the people that already have the money. So we need to go sign up for free stickers, put them up in your area, because it's shared acts and shared language equal shared power. I mean, look at the right, to be honest. Crying liberal tears, MAGA, all wearing the red hat. That makes you feel a part of a community, and that's the identity, and that's the number one thing. The second reason I'd say behind money that people are acting the way that they are. We don't have any identity, y'all. When was the last time you were happy telling somebody about your job? Everybody, we don't say like, oh, what do you do for work? And then the person like excitedly tells you, it's like, oh, another day, another dollar. And, whatever, dude. That's exactly, I was about to hit that up because it doesn't help the people who already have the wealth. So the people who already have the wealth want the prices of houses to keep going up because it's F you, I got mine. And that's what we need to realize is that just because you got yours, that's only because of your place in society, because you were born in the right zip code. Why is it that the zip code is the biggest determinant of your success in America? So what we need to do is go sign up for free stickers, spread the word, because the only way that we can incite this culture shift is by shared language. They're not the hoarder, or they're not the billionaires, they're the hoarders. It's not left versus right, it's up versus down. And greed is the problem in America. Everything else is just a symptom. So if greed is the problem, then what fuels their greed? It's our hard work. So how do we stop working hard? Well, we push back. We have a strike. But we'd have to push back long enough to outlast the ultra wealthy. And the ultra wealthy are able to last a long, long time because they've got the security that we are looking for. They have the food, they have the housing, they have the healthcare. So we need to come together and build the systems that we need to sustain it. That's what we need, to build the systems that, but how do we build those systems when we are all so divided? Well, we come together. We come together for blackouts because we all feel this pain. We could be very different politically and think very differently, but this is for everyone. Because the goal is, look, if you are working, if you go to work, we are on your side. Because you are making somebody else money. And listen, what did we used to do? It's not like we would go to the boss's office and we realize, shit, if we go to the boss's office and ask for a raise alone, we're never going to get it because we don't have any bargaining power. Where am I going with this? So what did we do? We all got together and we said, let's make this thing. I don't know. Let's form a strong bond, a group, a union. And that's the only way that we're able to actually push back against the boss, is because if one of us goes and asks for a raise, they say, get the F out of here. But if everybody at the company walks into the boss's office and demands for a raise at the same time, then you're not worried anymore. You're not afraid because you know you're going to get it. Because once you've come together, that you've taken the power back. And this is one of the goals that we are having. I believe that as we get these state captains going, we are just going to drop off food to people. Because think of what a community is. Because when, Dave and Janice are having a hard time, they don't tell anybody, but a casserole shows up at their door. Maybe a couple 20s are left in their mailbox. That's what mutual aid is, y'all. That's what the kind of stuff we are going to be doing, because we are not just talking about it. We are going to be about it. We're not just going to say what is wrong. We are building what is right. So go sign up. The link is in the bio. Starts with free stickers. What we are going to be doing is leading up to the blackout. We are going to be, phase 2 is you. That is helping us spread the word, helping recruit others, get everyone to realize that greed is the problem in America. Then after the second phase of the blackout, it's going to take years. I mean, it's going to be a while. This will not be over by Christmas. This will not be over by next year. Because what we have to start doing is we have to start coming face to face together in community. That's what's going to happen. I mean, look, we are fighting back against the entrenched financial interests of not only this country, but of the world. They have been in charge for like 200, 300 years because they've been able to completely control the narrative and the truth. It was only up until recently when the internet came that we were able to spread the narrative like this and actually recognize what the real truth was. That's all that happened. And then we had COVID to accelerate it all. So it's going to be a little while. But guess what? Once we get through the first phase, that's really when the happiness kicks in. That's when the hopium starts working. And it's going to be real too, because so many of us will see, just like I see. I'm here every day, not because I think we're going to win, because I know we're going to win. I do. I see it. It just is a matter of how quickly and how much, because we simply can't go on this way anymore. That's all. We simply can't go on this way anymore. And something's going to happen that wakes the majority of people up, and they're going to be looking around. And like I've been saying before, you can't just say the house is on fire. The house is on fire. You have to build the fucking escape route for them to go to. Excuse my language. You have to build the second house. You have to show them where we are running to. And that's why it takes a while. We are building it now. And it's like this. These lives will turn into weekend workshops. The weekend workshops will turn into real life community groups. Those real life community groups, they're going to become a freaking economic forum. They are going to be multiple things in one. They will be the Chamber of Commerce. They will be the town hall. They will be the town council. They will be the networking event. They will be the farmers market. They will be the swap meet. It's where our community comes to thrive. This is what has to happen. That's, I guess, the thing of it all. I didn't start doing this, like, I've always wanted this, but it only until we saw that it was possible and that the majority of people needed this. That's the issue, right? So, Omar, I do want to push, even with my billionaires are hoarders line, they didn't mean it. All they were doing was following those around them. It's like when you're speeding on the highway. You see everybody else going 90 and you're like, oh, shoot, I thought I was going the speed limit. I'm going 90. I'm putting myself and others at risk. I didn't even realize. Because really, the billionaires have always been greedy. The billionaires have always been greedy. What changed is that the politicians lowered the defenses. Well, Hope, I think that's what we're trying to build in every single area, but not just farmers markets. It would be community groups that are also farmers markets, community groups that are also town halls, community groups that are also swap meets, time for friends to get together, potlucks. And it's all of these things where it's almost like rather than just the food security that a community needs, every single system for all of us. And more importantly, a place for us to come together, to see that Hope is a human, that Jan Marie's a human, that Kiki B's a human, that Stormy Girl's a human, and we all, I know we us Americans long for Canada. The maple syrup in the community. Well, that's because you can almost tell it. The average American understands the common good. Or sorry, the average Canadian understands the common good. The average Canadian understands that the point of a society is for all of us to achieve security. Because think of it. Think of it just on your street. Let's bring this into home. You have the same house you live in. Every single one of your neighbors has a leak, has no electricity, has no food. They have no security. Do you feel more safe or less safe with none of your neighbors having any security? You feel less safe, right? Well, this is the funny thing. This is kind of what I'm going through right now, Hope, right? How individualism leads to more people being scared. The whole world is usually affected by this, Omar. That's why we got to be the first damn domino. Well, the fourth or fifth. But once we fall, once the world sees that America has pushed back, those lazy, dumb Americans. Well, it's not that we're lazy and dumb. It's that we're products of our society. Every single person under 40 years old, we've been fed and inundated that this is the system. There is no changing it. I even had a conversation with my dad about this the other day too. And he's like, yeah, man, I saw all this, but what are you going to do? And I'm just like, oh, God damn it. If you had done something, maybe my life wouldn't be so bad. Or not bad, but wouldn't the, wouldn't it, because what it really is, it's not that any individual's life is bad. And obviously I'm not hurting. What it is that Americans under 40 are the first generation in our country's history to be worse off than our parents. And I just want to define why. That's it. I want every single person in this country to know why. Days they may have been, but I would say in the worst way possible, because I remember my parents voting for lower taxes because whatever they were voting on didn't help them. And I remember being like 11 years old and being like, but we have enough money. Shouldn't we want to help other people? So they may have been more involved in politics, but it's almost like none of them had woken up yet. And that's the big issue, is that they got just the tail end of the awesome part of corporatism. Remember when Uber came out and it was super effing cheap and it was like $4 and it was like, whoa, this is so cool. And then now the same ride that was $4 is like $35. And it's like, damn, this was cool. What happened? That's essentially what happened to our entire economy. And the boomers are so mad at us right now. Sorry for the boomers that see it. The majority of boomers, I will stop monolithing. The majority of boomers look at us and go, what are you bitching about? I worked hard. I was able to afford housing and food and healthcare. And if you just worked hard, you'd be able to do it too. But it's like, nah, the ground shifted underneath us. You were walking up a slope that was this steep. We're walking up a slope that's this steep. And what they don't realize, but here's what it is. Then the media tells them, oh, their slope isn't that steep. Their slope's like this. They're just lazy. Right? But who owns that media that is telling them those lies? The very same people who made the slope go from this to this. They say it's not our fault. Here's my favorite way to put it. Who controls all the jobs? The ultra wealthy. Who controls the housing and the healthcare? The ultra wealthy. Who controls the politics and the media? The ultra wealthy. Who's the ones causing all the problems? Poor people. That's how it goes in our country, right? So that's what we need to people to realize, that it's like, nope, let's just change that to yeah, it's the ultra wealthy, it's the greediness. And like, hey, we don't even fault them. Yeah, it makes us angry, but all humans are greedy. I mean, I started off like this too, where when I would hire people 5-10 years ago, I'd pay them market rate. Because then that is like, oh, you know, I don't have to, I can justify it, right? You can justify it. You can say, oh, well, I'm going to put layers of insulation. I won't have to see the suffering that I'm causing. I won't have to, you know, actually think about that I'm not paying them enough. Because look, all my friends are paying them the same thing. But then one day I like do the math and it's like, oh shit, they should have enough to have food and housing. I may not answer it, Shadows, but go right ahead. Just depending on what it is. And so that's where we have to understand that when that owner went out and wanted to grow and expand their business, all they, that's a great question. But to me, it's never worried me, because if I needed to go scream this out in front of my house, I will. I think the people that feel this, I think we all feel it in our bones. I think we saw it on October 18th. Two sides of it. So in one sense, it barely matters because we are going to do our best in the to combat it. In the other sense, that's why the free stickers are so important. That's why pushing back at work is so important. That's why us just having weekly conference calls. Fuck it. We don't have to be on TikTok. I will put out a weekly Jitsi link, a free video link. We find alternatives, right? If the system they've built isn't working for us, we build our own system. So rather than on this app, we'll go find a non-corporate video call app. We'll send out the information and we'll find each other. You know the website. We'll be here. We'll figure out ways. And that's where I am almost banking on things getting worse. I'm banking on things getting worse because you know what? The more that they turn TikTok into MAGA talk, the more that Mr. Ellison, the hoarder Ellison, changes the app, the more people who will wake up and will say, What is going on? This is bull. I used to be able to come together. Not revolution, revitalization. Because the language that we use matters. Think if I went to my boomer parents and I said, oh, we're going to revolutionize America. Nope. But if you said we're going to revitalize America, that changes things. So we have to understand the power of our words. Truly. We have to understand that when we are talking about this, people will do anything to point fingers left or right. Words are Jedi mind trips. Yep. Because what will happen is you'll start talking about this and they'll go, yeah, if it wasn't for the immigrants. And then if you debate them on immigrants, you've lost. Because that's the whole goal, is to get you away from rigged system and talking about the problems that will always be happening inside the rigged system. Right? So we have to keep our eyes on the prize. When we talk to people, we have to realize that number one, I can't try to convince them in one single conversation. Remember back to my analogy, if you had to get somebody to walk 1 mile a day to keep you alive, to keep your family alive, how would you go about that conversation? Well, I think you would probably want to have it in multiple parts to start. This is literally the situation we're in, y'all. We have to converse with our neighbors in our community if we want to continue with this. We will revitalize this. We will change it. We will fix it. We will make it so that it works for us. So I think I got through my whole thing. I don't know if anybody wants to pop one up. I haven't seen Nova or anybody with moderator rights, but there you go. So if you're going to make some zines, Hope, we really would love to be a part of that. We would love for you to make that zine and send it on over to us so that we can spread the word too, because the whole entire goal. So what you can do, you all have seen Congress of Climate. I am hoping that she is going to be one of our workshop people as well. And I was just talking to fellow citizen last night, Congress, about you and all the value that you bring to this. So the idea is this. We will let you know about the workshops, right? We'll do the weekly lives during the week, and on the weekends, we'll bring in the big guns. We'll bring in Congress of Climate and things like that. Hello, God's daughter. Good morning to you. And then what they're going to do is teach you how can you be effective when you push back in your local civic action. Well, there's 3 different ways. We're going to focus on the city council. We're going to focus on the Chamber of Commerce. And by golly, we're going to be writing some letters to the editor. And like I said, if we had 800 people across the country doing it, that's one thing. Imagine when we get 80,000 people all sending in the same letters to the editor that say, this is not left versus right. This is up versus down. Greed is the problem in America. What fuels their greed? Our hard work. So what do we need to do? Push back, a sustained pushback. But how do we sustain? We come together and build the systems we need to sustain us. All of us coming together. So this is how we started. And this is why, Omar, you asked how long it would take. This is why it takes a little while. Because we're coming together. We are recognizing that the problem is greed. Next step is reorganizing our lives around it. Oh, I'm not picking on you, man. You've been great. And then recruiting others. And the best way that we can bring people in and show them is by creating the community group. That's what exactly it is. Well, I'd say the right have already done this already. Because that's where Christian nationalism and the right go hand in hand. So they've already got a weekly community group that they all come together to help each other. And they've got literally mutual aid built in, but none of the people on the right would call it that. But mutual aid happens is when somebody goes through a tough time and other people hear about it. You go ahead and give that. Well, that's where John and Gene, I honestly think they've been doing that for decades and decades. That's the reason why local politics, I mean, this is honestly what it is. Isn't that why we're mad with our current institutional left? Is that They literally saw what the right was doing for decades. I remember growing up and listening to Focus on the Family. That was like the only thing that was on our radio. And so my parents were then, which was funded by the Heritage Foundation. And so then my parents heard that. Then they would go talk about it with the other people at church that also listened to it. So it's like, talk about the shared language. You had shared acts by going into church. He was in my ear all the time, Congress. I don't know if it molded me against it or what happened, but that's where they have already been doing this for decades and decades and decades. We're just literally taking the playbook. I mean, shit. Part of what makes me know we're going to win, when he finds out it's already too late, is that MAGA already did this, y'all. They went fear, anger, hate. So that's how we are. They took people's fear, they stoked it into anger, and they made it hate. That's why we have the division that we have now. You know what we are doing? We are taking that same shared pain. So it doesn't start from fear, but it does start from pain because we can all feel that shit. And that pain, we turn it into mother effing forgiveness. This has to be done with love. It sounds so goddamn corny, but it's the truth. This has to be done with love, because no matter who that billionaire is, they've got a parent that cares about them. They have children that care about them. Fuck that. They are valuable because they're a human being. That's it. Yeah, those billionaires made some choices in their life that tick us off and piss us off and screw the rest of us over. But if we can still say in our hearts that we love them because they're humans, then we've won. We are all products of our society, Jimmy. And we have to understand that people may be hurting, but just because if we hurt them right back, we are no worse. Yes, there will be different consequences for if they harm others, but that understanding, that human love needs to be there. The only thing, well, I say it, Hope, it's much harder to practice, right? It's very difficult to practice. And this is where I will let it out. My anger is directed towards the politicians, not the billionaires. The ultra wealthy have always been greedy pricks. It's the politicians that were supposed to stand up to them. It's the politicians that were supposed to remind us what the point of a society is. Ironically, the politicians should have been the vanguard, wink, wink, of our society. But even they gave in to human nature. And even then, I get a little frustrated. But even those politicians are products of their society, right? Because here's my theory. If the same politicians we had now, the same people, the same moral centering, shit, even the same upbringing in their house, you take Ted Cruz and you put him back into 1930, you take these people and you put them back into 1920 to 1910, when people had trust in each other, when we had trust in institutions, when all of this erosion of the public faith had not taken place yet, they would be completely different people, completely different politicians, because every single person is a product of their society. Bernie's ideal is what we are pushing towards, where he calls it regionalized capitalism. But unless they start doing more things the other day, like when him and AOC walked down together, and we're actually, you got to spread more truth to the American public. And what he's done is he's such a play by the rules person that he will not break kneecaps to do what he needs. And that's what has to happen. He has got to stand up, screw decorum, screw history. He needs to essentially act like like a second figurehead. That's been the problem with every single politician, right? Is they are not acting strong enough. They are acting like the billionaires are in charge rather than acting like we're in charge, because we are. God damn it. That's why they work so hard to divide us. Lizzie, what we're doing is we are asking people if you want more than just a couple. We do have the images available to print and things like that. And we may be able to send multiple at one time. It just is, it gets expensive sending a lot of them. So we are breaking the silence to break the fear. We're looking to incite a culture shift. We incite a culture shift by changing the narrative, reframing the truth, by stacking our impact, by showing people that it can't be some of us giving it our all. It has to be all of us giving it some. And then finally, we got to do what we're already doing, the mass action, the blackouts. This is how part of why I know we're going to win, because we're already coming together, doing the hardest thing, doing the pushback, doing the blackout. Now, all we got to do is connect everyday life with that mass action. And then remember, the point of the blackout is to bring more people into the community so that we're having these lives every single week and growing our identity, so that we have our weekend workshops where we can learn how to push back. And then ultimately, that is how we grow the real life world and economy that we are building. It's we have these weekly weekend workshops, and then we will have leaders in every single state that will then start hosting that workshop in real life. And those community groups, those gatherings, those get-togethers, it will be everything that we need. It'll be our farmers markets. It'll be our swap meets. It'll be our networking. It'll be our chamber of commerce. It'll be all of it. It'll be our town hall. And we'll come together and we'll finally say, hey, we're not done yet, but that's when we bring the joy back. That's when we flip the fear. That's when people say, like, nice, I can't wait to go next week. That was so much fun. And it's not like you do it because they're like, oh, we got to go to the community group again. It's hell yeah. That was so much fun. We got to see some of my friends, saw Bob and Cindy, hung up. It's absolutely the truth. If we could just spread that line to everybody. Because what do they bring to the table? They bring capital. That's it. Freaking money. Well, with technology and the way things are, we can find money in other places. What do we bring to the table? What do the hard workers bring to the table? Well, when that billionaire, when old Jeff Bezos wants to go deliver all the goddamn packages that he wants to deliver today so that goddamn Jeff Bezos can go make money, as I see the Amazon truck flying down my road, he has to rely on other people. That's the biggest thing that they told us. It's like it used to be, yeah, in the past, for the last 150 years before we had the internet, yeah, the ultra wealthy pretty much had the upper hand. Because how are we going to come together to get all the money that we need to start this business? Well, now we don't need them. We don't. We can come together and find the capital ourselves. And we need to realize that they need us, because when that person wants to go build 10,000 houses, they need to hire other people. When I wanted to go open my second and third location, I had to rely on others. So the moment they came, I said, thank you. I love you. The only way I could have opened this location is if you chose to come and work for me. So I am going to make it really nice for you to come and work here, because I want you to keep working here. Well, and that's where the Boxing Corner, you are my favorite example of all this, because it used to be maybe those robber barons of old came on the factory floor with us. And at least they had that sense of community, that sense of shared work. Now You do all the work. Bezos is sitting on his $200 million house somewhere. And that is not hustle. That is not him being smarter than you. That's him being a hoarder. You are probably making for Amazon $80, $90, $100 an hour. What, you get paid 30 bucks an hour? So probably 30 of that dollars goes to Amazon's overhead. So you make $30 an hour, $30 goes to Amazon overhead. Well, that last $30 an hour goes into Bezos's pocket. That's how it works. The billionaires simply could pay you more, but he makes $30 an hour for every single Amazon employee delivering boxes. And so there's nothing that says for you, hey, you should pay the boxing corner enough to live. So he doesn't. He says, screw the boxing corner. I want more money because I'm greedy, and there's nothing that he can do about it. Because if he goes and tries to get another job, well, they're on Amazon Web Services. And I'll make sure that they also treat their employees poorly, because making money is the point of life. Other people are the point of life. Your family, your kids, your friends, they're the point of life. We built a society so that all of us could come together and achieve security. Well, that's where it's hard, Barbara, because some people will be like, oh, well, they make $27 an hour. They make $30 an hour. And then I have to break down that $62,000 a year is what? $3,400 a month after taxes, $3,600 a month. And then the average rent is like $2,000. Then you do car payment, insurance, utilities, internet. We all have to have a car. What I think it should be, instead of a minimum, like, we should celebrate the companies that make their employees rich. How cool would that be? I think that rather than having like McDonald's all over the country, shouldn't we have a business that pays all of its employees 6 figures? Wouldn't that be awesome? Oh, hell yeah, Walmart's coming to town. There's a bunch of 6-figure jobs. Then people could actually be excited, because I'll end with this because I got to get going. Because if a job doesn't pay enough for food and housing, well, billionaire, you can't afford that job. That's what it comes down to. Well, boxing, it's not going to happen right away, but join us. We are here every single day around 10 a.m. Eastern, sometimes a little bit later at 11. Between 10 and 11 Eastern, we're here every single day. We've got our weekly lives that we do, and we're going to be starting our weekend workshops, because we need to come to a place that's conducive for the people, that we don't have newcomers coming in asking questions, that we can all kind of get down to brass tacks, that we can sit around and learn from Congress of Climate, that we can learn from Farm Fresh, that we could learn from, I think somebody was saying they're a homesteader. But that's what we need to do, is we are building a community. We're going to be here every single day. And that's the thing, is it doesn't have to be some of us giving it our all. If all of us could just get on the same page and speak together, we'd win. And that's why they've worked so hard to divide us. So sent out like 300 yesterday, I think, each with 5 to 10 stickers. So we sent out about 3,000 stickers yesterday. I think we are closing in on 80,000 stickers across the country. So go sign up. This is one of the best ways to get started, because if what we're trying to do with this culture shift, look, the CEO is holding the dragon. There's all the workers with the factory coming, adding it to the pile of gold. I will go after this, but we're hitting people in their feelings. I don't want to go and have to explain this thing. No, billionaires are hoarders. It's not left versus right. It's up versus down. Greed is the problem in America. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for being here. It is always wonderful to be a part of this community and get to chat and know everybody. If you are new, please click the link in the bio. Go sign up. One of these envelopes full of stickers could be yours. And remember, we're going to be going live every single day around 10, 11 Eastern. And then eventually we're going to be having these weekend workshops. And this is how we win. Our first steps are small steps together. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Society makes the rules. Email, reach out, whatever you could do. I'm also on the Take It Back movement. It's difficult on this platform sometimes because we get so many messages and things like that. Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. I will find your info then and get in touch with you later today. So awesome, everybody. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.